Good morning, everyone. I'm Eugene Negovieski with nPhoto, and today I'm honored to have with us the CEO of Pixellu and SmartAlbums, Daniel Usenko. SmartAlbums is an easy-to-use, easy-to-learn album designing software that is enjoyed by hundreds of thousands of professional photographers and is revolutionizing the way pros such as yourself make albums. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
That's great. What else can you tell us about yourself and about SmartAlbums and Pixellu?
Well, I've been a photographer now for over 16 years, so I've kind of seen a lot of transition from. I actually learned photography on film, then I went to digital. Now I'm going back to film, and I've seen. I feel like a lot of different stages of photography, the photography industry, and about 7 years ago, a friend of mine who is a developer, he asked me to join him on the project, which ended up being Pixellu, and our first product was SmartAlbums that we released, I believe, 4 years ago, and since then it's been a really great ride. We've had photographers all over the world use our software, and it's really changed our life, my life for sure. And our team is 25 team members right now. So from 2 guys in the garage to 25.
Oh, wow.
25. Yeah.
And SmartAlbums is a software concerned with designing photo albums. What other software do you guys have through Pixellu that you can share with us?
A year ago, we released Smart Slides, which is something that photographers have been asking us to do for a while. It's a slideshow design software. It's just like SmartAlbums, which made album design easy. Smart Slides made some beautiful slideshows very simple. So, in a nutshell, it provides music and the tools to make a slideshow in 5 minutes tops.
Wow.
So that we released pretty much exactly a year ago.
Oh, wow. So you said this went from small 2 people to 25 today. Can you tell us who are these people, a little bit about these people who make up this company today?
Yeah, great question. We're spread out all over the world.
Okay.
We have some people in the U.S., some people in Mexico, some people in Spain, some people in Eastern Europe, and Philippines, and a lot of our team members, since they work remote, they have an opportunity to go live somewhere else and work with us. And mostly, I would say half of the team are developers that actually make the software, and half are the supporting staff. So customer support. For instance, we have customer support 7 days a week, so we want to make sure we have people supporting that. And then we also have people in both time zones, the European time zone and the US time zone, so that customers all over the world are covered.
Wow, yeah. So as you say, you were really reaching the whole globe, both literally and figuratively with your brand there. That's excellent.
Yeah.
I want to take a second. Of course, we're going to get back in and dive in deeper to SmartAlbums and Pixellu, but I want to take a second and go a little to the left here. You mentioned yourself that you're a photographer, so let's talk about that. We're addressing an audience of photographers, and I read that beauty is the word that you choose to kind of emphasize your style and your take on photography, kind of your philosophy. Can you expand on this for me a little bit? And why did you choose the word beauty? What was it about beauty?
Interesting. Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, when I teach workshops, one of the first lessons is on the philosophy of beauty. So it's definitely something really important to me. And beauty is part of photography that I think is the artistic part. Sometimes when you look at a photo, you love it, but you're not even sure why. And I think it's that kind of intangible aspect. It's not about the lens you use or the filters you use or the technical aspect of photography, but it's more of the intangible aspect of photography, and that's what really makes photos stand out. And so for me, it's always important to figure out, in order to be a good photographer, how can you be better at capturing beauty? I'm sure you know, and a lot of photographers that know everything there is about cameras, lenses, Photoshop, but their photos are just boring. And then there are photographers who literally just woke up yesterday with the camera, it seems like, and they're taking amazing photos, or maybe they're even using an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
They have no technical expertise. They don't know what exposure is, or what aperture is, or what shutter is, but they take really beautiful photos. And I think it's because that person has taste. And I think that the idea somebody has taste, to me, means they intuitively understand what things are beautiful and what things are not beautiful, and they know how to capture them.
Okay.
And so for me, I think a good photographer is first and foremost someone who knows how to capture beauty. And so in my personal professional photography, I always try to figure out ways, how can I be better at learning how to be a better capturer of beauty.
Okay, and you say that you have workshops that you're giving, and in these, you're kind of helping photographers to enhance and to find and to develop this ability to see and take advantage of this beauty?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm personally when I studied in school, my degree is in math.
Okay.
So I'm a very analytical person. So I try to break things down and I try to analyze how do you become better. And so I think my number one advice would be to absorb the ideas of what beauty is from other artists that are good at capturing beauty.
Okay.
A good example would be, if someone has poor taste in how to dress, the way they improve is if they go to a city where people are fashionable, they kind of absorb the idea of what is fashionable, what is beautiful. And so just same thing with, I think, photography. If photographers spend more time with great art, not necessarily just other photographers, but it could be even, going to museums or watching movies that are like classical,
right,
with great cinematographers, that will allow them to kind of internalize what beautiful imagery is. And that's what I recommend. It's not something that you can just like switch on and off. It's something that you kind of learn with your emotional capacity, I guess. Yeah.
Wow. I would say personally, like, you are somebody I would love to listen to more. Where would I be able to find out more about like your workshops, or where you're offering them, and how to get involved in those?
Unfortunately, I don't teach workshops anymore because I'm so busy with Pixellu. My job at Pixellu is, because I've been a photographer for so long, my job at Pixellu is to make sure that whatever we make makes photographers happy and it fits them. Yeah. So all my time goes into that. But I do sometimes teach workshops, and I think the best place is to follow me on Instagram, which is at Daniel Usenko on Instagram. That's going to be the best place. So if I ever do teach a workshop, I'll be announcing it there.
All right, wonderful. I have to ask you this, just to dive a little more into the personal side of yourself. You mentioned that you studied mathematics, but just these few minutes of us talking, you can tell that you have that artistic soul. You have that passion and that drive to find beauty in such a wonderful way. Where did that come from? Like, and like you said, now you've got this software company. You are just on both sides of the brain.
A little bit, yeah. Well, I honestly, I don't think I'm an artistic person. What's the word? By nature, I'm not. I'm by nature a very analytical person. So I studied mathematics, and I always approached everything from an analytical perspective. And photography was no different. So when I learned photography, it was from a perspective of gear and what kind of settings. And I remember going into a photography store 17 years ago, and I was asking, so what do I buy to make pictures look professional? So for me, it was always about that, like, what do I do? But as I have been breaking it down into parts, okay, so this is because of this light, this is because of this lens, I realized that there's a portion of it that's attributed to just taste that's not quite, you know, mathematical there. And by even as an analytical person, by being exposed to great photography, I have been able to internalize this ability to see beauty, and I don't think it existed. Like, I've never played an instrument. I never knew how to draw. I never did anything artistic until my age of 16. So I don't think I am naturally good at being artistic. It's something that I've learned, yeah, over time. So yeah, and then the software aspect of it. I don't write the software, but I kind of bridge the gap between like the art, the business, the math. So I'm kind of like the bridge, I guess, in our company.
And this is actually a perfect segue into a question I just had. Being this bridge, how we were talking about your philosophy of beauty, and now how does Pixellu, SmartAlbums, and Pixellu as in its entirety, how does it fit into this philosophy of beauty?
That's an awesome question. When we, my partners, one of my partners is a developer. He makes sure that our code gets written properly. The other partner is a business guy. He finished an MBA and handles, make sure that we have money just to be able to pay everybody. But we before diving into the company, we took a trip out the mountains and we discussed what is it that's important to us, and we came up with 3 values to our company that will dictate what our company is about, and one of those values is beauty. Why beauty? I don't quite know why, but I do know that it's really important to us. And my guess is because our company is about photographers. A lot of people that work for our company are photographers, and we just care to take beautiful photos. And visual aesthetics is a very important aspect for us. So when we were creating the software, we knew that whatever we do, whether it be for SmartAlbums, the templates in SmartAlbums, or the just the visual look of the buttons and all that, we knew that as visual people, we want to make sure that as we create this product for ourselves, and we like beauty, we love beauty, we wanted to make sure that's one of the cornerstones of what our company makes. So every decision that we make, one of the things is like, is this a way for us to maximize beauty? And a simple example would be we spend tens of thousands of dollars making sure that our website looks beautiful, because we're visual people, and we want to make sure that everything we touch looks beautiful.
Wow. That's incredible. Now, is again kind of on this philosophy of beauty, and with that mentality that you have, and being a photographer yourself, are there any benefits to professional photographers offering albums in their studio?
Well, obviously, obviously we understand that there are, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't, because it seems like especially in the US here, a very small percentage of photographers offer albums anymore. And so I hope that this message reaches them so that they can be convinced. But there are 2 main, I think, reasons to offer albums these days. One is business related, and one is artistic, art related. Business related is you'll make more money, which is everybody. You're in the business of photography, you want to make money. Albums are great for that because it's an extra thing to sell, and I don't know if there's needs to be more talk about that. Okay. But as far as art goes, the world is becoming increasingly digital, and I think one of the biggest risks to photography in general, whether it be professional photography or just photography on iPhones, is that there are so many photos that images are going to get lost, not necessarily because we're going to lose our hard drive, because most things are in the cloud now, But images are going to be lost because of the sheer volume of how many are being taken. I don't know of, like, if the viewers are watching, the last time you went through photos from 5 years ago even and looked through them, there are so many photos that you don't even know what to do with them. And every year there are more and more and more photos. So in 20 years, we're going to have millions of photos. How will we ever find the ones that we truly love or that capture, you know, we're going to have a lot of, even on my phone, I have a lot of screenshots, I have a lot of photos of things that are not even important. So albums is, one of the beauty of albums is not even the fact that they get printed, which is great by itself, but the fact that you are forced to take a number of photos that are okay. Like at a wedding, I might take, you know, when I shot digitally, I would take 6,000-7,000 photos. So narrowing it down to 100 and then placing it into a book that holds those images is a way to take the images and save them out of the sea of multitude and put them into a book so that you can see that these are the most important ones. For example, my wife and I, we went on a road trip across the U.S. A few months ago. We took lots of photos, and we made sure to make a book for ourselves with the best photos from the trip, not necessarily because of the print aspect, but most importantly, to save them from being lost in our phones forever. And so, as a photographer, I think it's important to do that for your clients, because if you take their photos, it's important to serve them by saving their photos in a form that won't get lost easily.
And that's a really good point to bring up. Both of your points were fantastic, but that one particularly because there's a lot of literature out. I'm a psychology guy. I actually studied psychology in university. And there's a lot of literature out there in general about if you have too many options, it can be overwhelming. And I think some people might not realize, but it can be something that's happening that people don't even want to look at the digital product that they have because it's just kind of so overwhelming for them. You know, maybe they're looking for a specific photo, but just in general, like, I don't want to open that. That's like 1,000, like you say, how am I going to get through that sea of photos? Where, like you say, if the photographer offers the album, they give them the cold, the cold, C-U-L-L-E-D, edited version. So that's a very good point that people don't often mention. Now, Daniel, of course, you're also a very successful businessman, and so from the photography perspective, or even from the business perspective, what kind of things do you look for or look at when deciding somebody to partner with, like a business or a company?
What do we look at? Well, I think for us, we care a lot about the thing we make. We care about a lot about our customers, our product. So it's really important for us to know that the whoever we partner with, they care about what they do. So it's not just about business. If it's just about the dollars, companies cut corners. They do whatever it is to make sure that the bottom line is met. But in our day and age, I think it's important to partner companies that have a passion for what they do, and they care about their customers. They care about their products, and the byproduct will be that the person will be successful. Like even if you take a photographer, someone who cares about their work is going to be successful because of that, rather than somebody that's just like in it for the money. So I think that's the most important, whether the company truly cares for what they do.
I was asking this with the mindset of photographers in mind, and when you are still shooting yourself, but when you were doing it more, and today, when you are looking for kind of a album producer or something to work with, is it a similar concept that you have, that you look for somebody who you know will take care of your product and will display your product, your pictures, beautifully and elegantly, or are there different things that you consider when you're looking to choose like an album producing company or for a printing lab?
Yeah. Well, I have relationships throughout the industry with different print labs, and I with nPhoto, you know, I've known about you guys not for super long, but what really impressed me right away was some of the, I guess, well, I've never been, you know, to your production facility. I don't know extensively the product lines, but there are little tells here and there that have been really impressive. And for me, the fact that, for instance, I know that you guys are in the, you know, mostly in the Eastern time zone, but like as we spoke before this video, that you always have someone that stays so that they, your representative is there to help any U.S. Customer until the end of the day for the U.S., which is, you know, super impressive. Like it reminds me of what we do when we have people stay on the weekends to help photographers on the weekends. And the fact that I know that you guys have pretty much like a, you know, will replace and fix any album issue that you'll ever have, which I know is, you know, I know that in reality there may not be a big percentage of issues with albums, but because of shipping, the humidity, all these different things that may not even be your fault, there's always going to be some tiny percentage that there will be something wrong. So the fact that you guys are so willing to fix, replace, and make people happy, I think those are, you know, really great indicators to show that you guys are someone that actually truly cares for what you do, and not just, again, not just do it because it's a business.
Okay. We're on the topic of photo albums. We're going to stay here for a second. Now, again, you are somebody I have to ask this question to. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges photographers face when designing albums? Is it an issue with designing software, or does it go beyond that? What do you think is the biggest issue?
It was album design software before the SmartAlbums came out.
Right. Yeah.
It was for now. Right now, I think the biggest. It's either the photographer is not able to sell albums to their clients, but once they have sold the album, probably the biggest barrier is to the culling part, where you have to choose images for the album. It's time consuming. If you have 1,000 images, you have to choose 70. That aspect is time consuming, and the solution to that, if anyone does run out of this problem, the solution that if you really hate doing that, ask your clients to do it themselves, and it'll save you time. Sure, they're not going to choose the best images, that we know, but if your number one priority is time, you can ask your clients to do it.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip.
Because then they're gonna feel like they have every image they want in the album, and you're not gonna argue with them that, you know, this is a poor, bad image. So, yeah.
Absolutely. You mentioned obviously now album designing software is not an issue with SmartAlbums. What is it that makes SmartAlbums different, and what makes it stand out kind of amongst the competition?
Well, I mentioned that my partners and I, we chose 3 values to our company, and the other 2, beyond beauty, the other 2 is also what makes it stand out. First of all, simplicity. Simplicity is a cornerstone to everything we do, and photographers love SmartAlbums because it's simple. Most photographers don't even watch any demos or tutorials on it. They just get in, drag images, and they're done.
Wow.
And the other, which sometimes may be underlooked, but it's reliability. We spend a lot of resources into making sure that the software is not buggy, it's fast, it works smoothly, and on our end, what that means to us is that we employ for every developer, for every 2 developers, we employ 1 tester who tests the software continually to make sure that any bugs that are there are found and any issues are found. So I think, yeah, the simplicity and reliability is what makes us stand out.
We've gone back and forth a little bit too, between albums and things like this. And when I was talking to you about the challenges, and also at the beginning of the interview, we were kind of referencing the alternative, which is kind of a digital shoot and burn kind of a method. Does this digital age and kind of this trend, especially in America, as you mentioned, and things like shoot and burn, does this worry you at all about the future of prints and albums, or are you confident that albums will continue to be and perhaps even continue to grow in the future?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I wish I knew what the future holds. And it's hard to know. For example, film. Everybody thought that film is dead and digital cameras are taking over. But now it's been shown that in the last few years, film sales have been growing. So it's quite hard to know, where the industry is going. And yeah, it obviously has been a problem in the last few years that everything is digital, everything is in Instagram. People are more concerned about getting the likes on Facebook and Instagram than they are preserving prints. And I think it's not helpful that a lot of photographers, there are a lot of new photographers that are coming into the business are shoot and burn. And I totally understand. I'm not blaming shoot and burn photographers. I know that I've shot for 15 years. I know that it's easier in some ways to just kind of like get the project out of your hands and be done with it and just shoot a new project. But I think that two things are good for the industry that are happening. One is, like I talked about, the sea and multitude of images, plus nobody's printing anymore. So now a printed product is a very unique proposition that people haven't had. Couples from 10, 20 years ago, they had books. So offering them an album, a book, wasn't that special. Whereas now, it is special, and it is something that makes you stand out as a photographer. So because of that, I think there's going to be kind of a response to this digital age. And so I think people are going to want to print their books because nothing else in their life is printed, and they would want to preserve their images that way. And second, because there is so much competition these days, it's so easy to pick up a camera for $500 and be a professional photographer. Because of that, photographers, I think, are going to be forced to be better at selling the books and to be presenting the books, because there's so much competition that they'll have to stand out and they'll have to find a way to make more revenue, and albums is a good way to do that. So I hope and I think that the worst is behind us. That this obsession about Instagram and Facebook and all that is kind of wearing out, and people are going back to more, I guess, conservative slash kind of the old school ways. And I think there's definitely a trend to be able to be printing more.
Okay.
I do think I think that there is a reversal in a way there.
Okay. I had written once to people who were concerned. I compared print photography kind of to the theater. We have cinema, we have home theater,
right.
But look at, because there's something about the theater, it's just a little bit different, the experience of it.
Yeah.
Like you said, the integrity of it. If you're an actor on Broadway or
right.
something, that's saying something. So, I think, for what it's worth, I think, as you say, the wave will kind of crest, and there'll always be a place for it. Maybe not as it was in the 70s and 80s when it was kind of your only option, but there'll always be a place for it. But again, you set me up for another question quite well when you were talking about how the influx of digital photography and photographers has made it necessary for professional photographers as business people to separate themselves and make themselves unique, which could perhaps lead to albums. Being a professional photographer, a successful one, I'm sure Daniel, is as much about being a smart business person as it is taking impressive photos. So what's some advice that you would give to professional photographers to set themselves up for a successful photography business?
Mm-hmm. It's very simple. Actually do business things. A lot of photographers only photograph, they only post on Instagram, and they only edit all day long. And the myth is that if I become a great photographer, people will notice and they will book me. That's not how it works, unfortunately. You have to actually do business things, and what those business things are is less important. As long as you have the mindset that I need to take care of my business, you will find things for your market that you can do. For example, let's say that you dedicate Thursdays and Fridays to do business things, or maybe it's Monday and Tuesday. I'm sure that you will find ways that you can benefit your business. Simple things can be meeting with vendors in your area so you can get to know them, or maybe researching how to do Facebook ads, or maybe doing giveaways. Well, this is just like off the top of my head.
Right.
The point is that for your market, you'll figure out what you could be doing, but as long as you're doing something, that is already better than 95% of photographers who only shoot and only edit all day long.
Okay. So pay attention to the business side, all of you photographers listening. Okay. We know you're those artistic souls, but it is an important part of the equation as well. As somebody else had said that we were talking with, you don't want to be a starving artist. That's not as cool as you think.
Yeah, and in order to be an artist, you need to make money. And if you're someone that says, well, I'm an artist and it's not about the money for me. Well, if you don't earn a living, you won't be able to do your art. So if you hate it, then you can say, oh, I hate business, but that's fine. You still have to do it because you have to still,
Absolutely. But previously, I had asked you about some challenges relating to designing photo albums. I want to take a step back even from that. And what do you see as some of the biggest challenges for professional photographers for today?
Yeah. I'd probably say competition. There are so many photographers. It's crazy. Like I said, I've been around for 16 years or so, and I remember the times when I knew 3, 4 good photographers in my area. Whereas now, it seems like every single one is amazing. They use the same presets, all the same. So I think competition and for photographers blending in with everyone else. So standing out is definitely harder now. And so I recommend find ways to stand out. I've taken personally a more radical approach. I still shoot weddings, and part of my job at Pixellu is to make sure that I understand photographers. To understand photographers, I still need to photograph, and so I put myself. I love photography, I really do, but I still run a photography business so that I can relate to the people we serve. And this year, I completely switched to film. Maybe not permanently, but I love film, and I'm excited about it. And part of the reason I did that is because I wanted to stand out. There are not a lot of filmmakers, and so maybe you can find ways to stand out. I don't know what if you're a digital photographer that could be, but find ways to stand out. I think that's the best way to kind of set yourself apart from the thousands of photographers in your area.
Okay, I kind of want to go here for a second. You reminded me, I was listening to a wonderful photographer a few months ago, a British photographer. Actually, Hannah Miller was her name, and she did both photography and videography. And she was talking about how photographers can kind of bring the two together. So you do both yourself. How would you comment on? Is there a way that a photographer can kind of use both video and film? Can doing film as a photographer help you being a better photographer? Is there a relationship there? And if so, what could you speak of?
So first, I clarify film photography, not film video.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Right. So the old school. But I have done video in my career.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And no, that's okay. And no, that's definitely one of the ways to make yourself stand out. That's certainly one of the ways. At our company at Pixellu, we do quite a bit of video, and video is a really, really, really great marketing tool. So if you acquire some video skills, even if you don't actually videotape weddings, you can still use video for really great marketing, like whether that be even, let's say that you can make basic videos about how to use your iPhone camera and post that on YouTube or whatnot. That can certainly drive more attention and potentially even customers at some point down the road. So I definitely think that nowadays knowing video is very helpful. But the thing I do is film photography, okay. The old school film photography. Yeah.
Okay. With this idea of it being kind of an overcrowded, maybe even oversaturated market in photography, do you see this trend continuing in the years coming, or as you look ahead, what kind of challenges do you see facing the photography industry?
Yeah, no, the trend of being oversaturated, I definitely see continuing, simply because cameras are less expensive, education is readily available, and presets are only $100 at most that you can use. And so, yeah, I definitely see that continuing. So again, if you're a photographer, you're worried about this oversaturation, really encourage you to take steps to set yourself apart. Give reasons for your clients, potential clients, to believe that you are a professional, rather where everyone else is not a professional. So things like offering albums, being great at customer service, having a professional website, working with wedding planners in the industry. Whatever signals you can give to your potential clients that you are above those everyone else who just buys a camera for $500 type of person is going to really help you, because when a bride, not on a budget, but when they have like a standard wedding, when she is looking for a photographer, she wants to hire someone that she can trust to be a professional. And so be a professional and do the things that professionals do and set yourself apart from everybody else, because this trend of wannabe photographers or people that just do it on the weekend, I think is definitely going to only continue.
Okay. I want to exit with one last question. What is one piece of advice you'd give to a photographer that you believe is important, that maybe is something they haven't heard before?
Well, I was thinking about this. This is a question that I knew would be asked. I would say that I already mentioned this during the interview, but I would say that you have to take the business seriously. You probably heard about this, so I'll give you specific advice. Okay, specific advice. And the thing that I think would be, for most photographers, incredibly helpful is get a list of wedding planners in your country or area and get in touch with every single one of them and introduce yourself. I know of a photographer that did this, and it's done really great for them, because when you meet someone in person, there is automatically a level of trust that's built because you've met this person in person. So if you email every wedding planner in your area and maybe get a coffee with some of them, just by having that relationship, you're going to gain the trust of that planner, and those planners or those vendors over time will recommend somebody to you, simply because of that trust. I'm sure that most photographers these days are pretty good photographers, but now you have to set yourself apart by having relationships with people in the industry. So I would say definitely invest time into building relationships by finding those contacts online. They're online. emailing, and then hopefully getting just a coffee. You don't have to sell your business. You don't have to bring a bunch of albums and be like, look, I'm a great photographer. Look at all this work. You don't have to talk about business at all. You can just say, hey, just wanted to get to know you. Tell me about yourself. I'll buy you coffee, and that's it. Just having that will build a level of trust that hopefully will result in referrals over time.
Speaking of trust, I'm here with Daniel Usenko, CEO of SmartAlbums, Pixellu. He is a photographer himself, making this album designing software, so he is certainly somebody you can trust to know a thing or two how to make your life much easier. A man with an analytical mind, but an artistic soul. I love talking with you, Daniel. It went by so quickly. It was so refreshing, so easygoing. All right, Daniel, before we get out of here, I want to give you a few final words.
One of the best advices that I heard from a photographer actually is, if you don't print albums now, and you've never had your clients even order an album, you've never even gotten into the game, one of the best things you can do is go ahead and download SmartAlbums for free on our website for 14 days and design album drafts for all clients that have not ordered an album in the past. And a photographer that came up to our booth told us that he did this. He offered a discount to his clients if they were to order within a week, and the discount I think was like something like 25%. And he said that half of his clients ordered an album, and he made over $10,000 that week. So key here is you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to buy SmartAlbums. You don't have to buy anything. All you have to do is download the trial, see how easy it is, design some drafts, and offer them to your old clients. There's nothing to lose, and you can make thousands of dollars, and it works. So I hope you do it.
He just keeps giving great advice. In the sake of time, I got to end it, but I'm sure they want to keep on listening. Once again, nPhoto viewers, keep checking in. We're going to have plenty of more wonderful content coming your way. And again, I'm here with CEO of SmartAlbums and Pixellu, Daniel Usenko. I'm Eugene Negowiecki with nPhoto Studios. I'll see you later.